The credit card denial came on my birthday. Standing in Target with a cart full of groceries and a line forming behind me, the cashier handed back my card with an apologetic smile. "I'm sorry, ma'am. This card has been declined. Do you have another one?" I did. I pulled out my debit card, feeling the heat of embarrassment creeping up my neck as the people behind me shifted impatiently. But that card was declined too. And the third one. "There must be a mistake," I said, my voice shaking slightly. "Can you try again?" The cashier tried again. Same result. I abandoned my cart and walked out of the store with burning cheeks and a growing sense of dread. In my car, I called my bank, waded through the automated system, finally got a human being. "Miss Rachel Torres." "Yes." "I see the issue. Your account was frozen this morning due to suspicious activity and multiple overdrafts. You're currently negative $4,200. My stomach dropped. "That's impossible. I just checked my balance 2 days ago. I had over $6,000. "Ma'am, I'm showing multiple large withdrawals and transfers over the past week. There's also been significant credit card activity. Have you been making purchases in Miami recently?" "Miami? I live in Portland. I haven't been to Miami in my life." "Oh." The representative's tone changed. "Oh no." "Ma'am, I think you need to come into a branch immediately. It looks like you might be a victim of identity theft." Identity theft. The words rattled around in my brain as I drove to the nearest bank branch. Who would steal my identity? How did they get my information? What else had they done? The bank manager, a kind woman named Patricia, pulled my account history. Together, we watched my life savings disappear. Cash advances, wire transfers, online purchases. Someone had systematically drained every account I had. "We'll need to file a police report," Patricia said, "and you'll need to contact the credit bureaus immediately. Freeze your credit. Check for any fraudulent accounts opened in your name." I spent my 32nd birthday filing police reports and making phone calls. By evening, I discovered the full extent of the damage. Someone hadn't just stolen my money. They'd opened credit cards in my name, taken out a personal loan, even applied for an apartment lease. My credit score had dropped 300 points. I had collection notices for debts I never incurred. My life was in ruins, and I had no idea who'd done it. Until I got the email. It came from my cousin Bianca. The subject line read, "OMG, you have to see my new place." I almost deleted it. I was drowning in financial disaster. The last thing I needed was Bianca's latest drama, but something made me open it. The email contained photos of an apartment, a luxury apartment with floor-to-ceiling windows, modern furniture, designer everything. Bianca posing in various rooms, beaming at the camera. "Finally upgraded my life," the email gushed. "This place is everything. New job is paying so well. Living my best life." I stared at the photos. Something nagged at me. The furniture in one shot looked familiar. Very familiar. I opened another window, pulled up my Amazon account, the one the bank said had been hacked for multiple fraudulent purchases. There, that exact couch, that exact coffee table, that exact everything. My hands started shaking as I checked the dates. The purchases were made last week, the same week someone drained my accounts, the same week someone was spending money in Miami, where Bianca had moved 6 months ago. No, it couldn't be. Bianca was family. We'd grown up together, shared secrets, survived family gatherings. She wouldn't. But the evidence was staring me in the face. The furniture, the timing, the location. I pulled up my credit report again, looking at the fraudulent apartment lease, looked at the address. It matched the address in Bianca's email. My cousin, my own blood, had stolen my identity, drained my accounts, destroyed my credit, and she was so confident I'd never figure it out that she had sent me photos of her enjoying the spoils. I sat there in my apartment, my modest, affordable apartment that I might lose because I couldn't pay rent now, staring at pictures of Bianca living it up in a luxury place funded by my stolen money. The police had said these cases were hard to prove, that identity thieves were often never caught, that I should just focus on repairing the damage and moving on. But they didn't know what I knew. They didn't know that I'd spent 10 years working in IT security before burnout made me switch to graphic design. They didn't know that I understood systems and networks and how to find digital fingerprints that people thought they'd erased. Bianca thought she'd gotten away with it, thought she was safe across the country, living her best life on my dime while I dealt with the wreckage. She had no idea who she was dealing with. I cracked my knuckles and opened my laptop. It was time to do some digging. Bianca and I had been close once. Growing up, we were more like sisters than cousins. Our mothers were twins, and we lived 3 blocks apart in the same Portland neighborhood. We had sleepovers every weekend, shared clothes, finished each other's sentences. We were the same age, born just 2 months apart. But where I was quiet and studious, Bianca was bold and charismatic. She was the one who got us into trouble and then charmed her way out of it. The one who could talk anyone into anything with that dazzling smile. I was always the responsible one, the one who reminded her about homework, covered for her when she snuck out, lent her money she never paid back. I told myself it was what family did, that Bianca's spontaneity balanced my caution, that we needed each other. Looking back, I can see the pattern. Bianca taking, me giving. Bianca shining, me supporting from the shadows. But I'd loved her anyway. She was my best friend, my sister in all but blood. We'd drifted apart in our 20s. I went to college for computer science, got a job at a cybersecurity firm, built a careful, stable life. Bianca bounced between jobs, retail, bartending, social media management, never quite finding her footing. She'd call when she needed something, money, a place to crash, someone to complain to about her latest boyfriend. I always said yes, because that's what family did. 2 years ago, I'd burned out from the cybersecurity world. The stress, the hours, the constant vigilance had worn me down. I'd saved enough to take time off, retrain in graphic design, and start freelancing. It was less money, but better for my mental health. I was finally building a life I actually wanted. Bianca, meanwhile, had moved to Miami 6 months ago for what she called a fresh start. She'd been vague about the details, something about marketing, a new boyfriend, wanting to escape Portland's rain. We talked less frequently, a text here and there, the occasional voice message. I'd been relieved, honestly. Maintaining Bianca's chaos from across the country was easier than managing it up close. 3 months ago, she'd called me in a panic. Her identity had been stolen, she said. Someone had hacked her accounts, and she needed help securing everything. I'd spent hours walking her through the process. How to freeze her credit, change her passwords, set up 2-factor authentication. I'd even given her access to my password manager temporarily so she could store all her new credentials securely. "What would I do without you, Rach? You're literally saving my life right now," she'd said, her voice thick with tears. I'd felt good helping her. Felt like the old days when we were close, when she needed me and I could be there. I'd been so stupid because now, looking at my bank statements, I could see exactly when Bianca had gotten access to everything she needed. The password manager I'd let her use temporarily, it had access to my accounts too. I trusted her to only look at her own credentials. She'd saved my passwords, noted my security questions, probably from years of knowing me, of knowing my first pet's name and my mother's maiden name and where I went to high school. She had 3 months to plan this.
3 months to position herself across the country where I couldn't physically confront her. 3 months to slowly siphon information, test access, prepare for the theft. The identity theft hadn't been hers. It had been practice for stealing mine. I sat at my laptop in my apartment, which suddenly felt vulnerable and small. This wasn't random. This wasn't some stranger in another country. This was someone who knew me intimately, who knew exactly how to hurt me. I pulled up everything I could access legally, started with the obvious, Bianca's social media. Her Instagram was public, full of photos from Miami, brunches at expensive restaurants, designer shopping bags, beach days, and nightclub photos, all timestamped, all geotagged. I cross-referenced them with my bank statement. The dates lined up perfectly. A photo of her at some trendy restaurant on the same day someone charged $300 to my credit card at that exact location. A selfie with shopping bags from Nordstrom on the day someone used my card for an $1,800 spree. She was documenting her theft in real time, and she was too arrogant to even hide it. I checked the fraudulent apartment lease next. Public records showed the application had been submitted with my name, my social security number, my employment information, but Bianca's contact details. The lease was in my name, but she was living there. Clever. If she defaulted, it would destroy my credit, not hers. She got the luxury apartment, I got the consequences. I pulled up my Amazon account history. I could still access it, though someone had changed the password. I used my IT knowledge to recover it through the email backup I'd set up years ago that I'd forgotten about. There they were, thousands of dollars in purchases, all shipped to Bianca's Miami address. Not even trying to hide it. She thought she was untouchable. I documented everything, screenshots, timestamps, cross-references between her social media and my financial records. I built a timeline of the theft, a map of exactly how she did it. Then I accessed my password manager logs. I'd set it up with detailed tracking, who accessed what, when, from where. There it was, clear as day. 3 months ago, Bianca's device had accessed not just her credentials, but mine, had saved copies of my passwords, my security questions, everything. I had proof, legal, documented, time-stamped proof. But the police had already told me these cases were hard to prosecute, that I'd need overwhelming evidence, that even with proof, family cases were complicated. So I kept digging. I pulled up the websites Bianca had listed in her Instagram bio, her consulting business, a hastily made website claiming she helped people optimize their digital presence. The website was built on a template, barely customized, clearly fake. But it had a contact form, and the contact form submitted to an email address. I didn't hack it, I just noted it down. Information for the police. I checked the metadata on her Instagram photos. Most people don't know that images contain embedded information, date, time, location, even the device used to take them. Bianca clearly didn't know because she hadn't stripped the data. Every photo told a story. Photos taken from inside the luxury apartment showed they were taken with an iPhone 14 Pro. I checked my credit card statements. Someone had purchased an iPhone 14 Pro on my card 3 weeks ago. She'd literally bought the phone she used to flaunt her theft with my stolen money. I pulled up the tracking information for all the Amazon purchases, signed inventory confirmations, all with Bianca's signature. Legal, admissible evidence. I checked public records for the new accounts opened in my name, found applications, credit checks, all listing my information, but Bianca's IP address. I traced the IP address, Miami, same neighborhood as her apartment. I didn't hack anything, didn't need to. Bianca had been so confident, so sloppy, that she'd left a trail a child could follow. But I went further. I accessed my own email, the one she'd had temporary access to, and checked the access logs. Found every time she'd logged in, from where, what she'd looked at, found the searches she'd done in my email, credit card applications, bank account transfers, how to change security questions. She literally researched how to steal from me using my own email account. I found the burner email addresses she created to verify the fraudulent accounts. They all followed the same pattern, variations of my name plus numbers. Amateurish, traceable. I tracked them back to the IP addresses used to create them. All Miami, all the same location. By 2 a.m, I had assembled a complete dossier. 100 pages of documentation showing exactly what Bianca had done, how she'd done it, and proof that it was her. I could hand this to the police, watch them arrest her, charge her, prosecute her, but something stopped me. Because Bianca wasn't just a criminal who'd stolen from me. She was my cousin, my childhood best friend. And despite everything, some part of me wanted to understand why. Why had she done this? Why had she destroyed me without hesitation? Had she ever cared about me at all? Or had I always just been a resource to exploit? I needed answers before I destroyed her life the way she destroyed mine. So I did something probably stupid. I sent her an email. Hey B, saw your photos. Your place looks amazing. I'm actually going to be in Miami next week for work. We should grab coffee and catch up. Miss you. Heart. She responded within an hour. OMG, yes, would love to see you. I'll take you to this amazing brunch place. My treat. Kiss emoji. Your treat with my money. I booked a flight to Miami. Used the last credit card that still worked, the one I'd opened years ago and barely used, the one Bianca didn't know about. I was going to confront her face to face, get the confession I needed, and then I was going to make sure she faced every consequence she deserved. But I was also going to give her one chance, one opportunity to explain, to apologize, to make this right. Because despite everything, some stupid part of me still remembered the girl who'd braided my hair and shared her lunch and promised we'd be best friends forever. That girl owed me an explanation, and then she owed me everything she'd stolen.
The flight to Miami gave me 5 hours to question every decision I'd made. What was I doing? Flying across the country to confront someone who'd already proven they had no problem destroying me? I should have just handed everything to the police and let them handle it. But I needed to see her face, needed to hear her try to explain. Maybe I needed closure, or maybe I just needed to understand how someone I loved could do this without hesitation. Bianca picked me up at the airport in a new BMW. My stomach turned. I'd seen the car payment on my credit card statement. She'd financed it using my information, and I was on the hook for the monthly payments. Rach! She hugged me like we were still best friends, like she hadn't stolen my entire life. Oh my God, you look amazing. Miami is going to love you. She looked good. Better than I'd ever seen her, actually. Professional highlights in her hair, designer clothes, and expensive handbag, all funded by my savings. You look great too, I managed, loving the Miami life, clearly. It's incredible here. Honestly, best decision I ever made. I should have left Portland years ago. I settled into the passenger seat, heated leather, premium sound system, and watched the city pass by. Palm trees and Art Deco buildings, and that particular Miami light that made everything look like a postcard. So, tell me about the new job, I said, keeping my voice casual. Marketing, right? Oh, it's amazing. I'm doing social media consulting for high-end clients. The pay is insane and I barely have to work. It's like they just throw money at me. She laughed, and I thought about how that was literally true, except the money was mine. That's so great. I'm really happy for you. How are things with you? Still doing the graphic design stuff? Yeah, it's been good. Busy.
I didn't mention that I'd had to cancel 3 client projects because I was too stressed dealing with the identity theft to focus on work. She drove me to her apartment, my apartment, legally speaking. The building was even more impressive in person. Doorman, valet parking, the kind of place I'd never be able to afford even if she hadn't stolen from me. The apartment was exactly as she'd shown in the photos. Luxury everything, floor to ceiling windows with an ocean view, furniture I'd unknowingly purchased. She gave me a tour like she was proud of it, like she'd earned any of this. This is the guest room, where you'll stay. Make yourself at home. I set my bag down in a room that cost more per month than my entire apartment, looked at the designer bedding, the artwork on the walls, all funded by my savings, while I was filing police reports and freezing my credit. "So, brunch tomorrow, Bianca?" asked. "There's this incredible place in Wynwood, bottomless mimosas." Sounds perfect. That night, alone in the guest room, I wanted to scream. I wanted to confront her immediately, to throw the evidence in her face and watch her try to lie her way out of it. But I needed more. I needed to understand the full scope of what she'd done. So I did something morally questionable, but technically legal. I pulled out a small recording device I'd bought before the trip. In Florida, only one party needs to consent to recording. I was that party. Everything Bianca said to me from here on out would be documented. The next morning, we went to brunch. The restaurant was exactly the kind of trendy, overpriced place Bianca loved. I watched her order a $30 avocado toast and a cocktail that cost more than a decent bottle of wine. "So," she said, leaning in conspiratorially, "I have to tell you about this guy I've been seeing, Marcus. He's amazing, Rach, like actual grown-up with a real career, amazing." "That's great. What does he do?" "He's in finance. Makes serious money, like more than I've ever seen kind of money." She giggled. "He thinks I'm this successful entrepreneur. It's so cute." My recorder was in my purse, capturing every word. "Does he know about your past?" I asked carefully. "The job stuff in Portland." "God, no. I told him I was a marketing executive at some tech startup that folded. Gave him this whole story about how I took my severance and moved to Miami for a fresh start. He ate it up." "You lied to him?" "I mean, kind of, but it's not like a serious lie. Just editing my history a little, making myself sound better." She took a sip of her mimosa. "Everyone does it." "Do they?" "Come on, Rach. Don't tell me you've never embellished a little on a dating app. It's basically expected." I thought about the fabricated life she'd built, the fake consulting business, the apartment she couldn't afford, the lifestyle funded by theft. This wasn't embellishment, this was fraud. "Speaking of dating," Bianca continued, "are you seeing anyone?" "Not really. I've been busy with work." "You work too much. You always have. That's why you burned out from that tech job, remember? You need to learn to relax, live a little." The irony of receiving life advice from someone who had stolen my identity was almost funny. After brunch, which Bianca paid for with a credit card I'd later confirmed was opened fraudulently in my name, we walked around Wynwood. She took selfies in front of the murals, posted them to Instagram with captions about living my best life and blessed beyond measure. "You know what's crazy?" she said as we walked. 6 months ago, I was broke, like seriously broke. Couldn't even afford my rent some months. And now look at me. It's like the universe finally decided to reward me for all the struggling. The universe, not my stolen savings. The universe.
"What changed?" I asked. "How did you turn it around so fast?" "Just smart decisions, better money management, investing in myself, manifesting abundance." Manifesting. She was literally manifesting my money into her bank account.
That evening, she invited me to a dinner party at a friend's house. I agreed, curious to see more of the life she'd built on my stolen foundation. The party was in a Coral Gables mansion. Bianca's friends were all like her, young, attractive, dressed in clothes that cost more than my monthly rent. They talked about clubs and boats and trips to the Bahamas like it was normal, casual conversation. Bianca introduced me as her cousin from Portland, then mostly ignored me to work the room. I watched her perform, laughing at jokes that weren't funny, touching arms and leaning in close, playing the part of the successful consultant who belonged in these circles. I overheard her talking to a group near the bar. "My consulting business is taking off. I just landed this huge client, a chain of boutique hotels, 6-figure contract." It was all lies. Her consulting business was a fake website she'd thrown together. She had no clients, no contracts, just stolen money and a gift for performance. Marcus showed up an hour into the party. He was exactly the type Bianca always went for. Good-looking, clearly wealthy, completely buying whatever story she'd sold him. "You must be Rachel," he said, shaking my hand. "Bianca's told me so much about you." "Has she?" "She says you're brilliant with computers, that you helped her set up all her business systems when she started her consulting firm." I glanced at Bianca, who was suddenly very interested in her drink. "I helped her with some tech stuff, yeah." She's being modest. Bianca's genius. I'd be lost without her. The recorder in my purse captured every lie. Later that night, back at the apartment, Bianca poured us wine, expensive wine I'd later find charged to my card, and got comfortable on the couch. "So, be honest, what do you think of Marcus?" "He seems nice, very into you." "Right? He's perfect. We've been talking about moving in together, actually. His place is even nicer than this one." "That's fast. You've only been here 6 months." "When you know, you know. Plus, it would be nice to save on rent, you know? This place is killing me financially." I almost laughed. The place wasn't costing her anything. It was costing me. "I thought the consulting business was going well." "It is. It's just, cash flow. Some months are better than others. I'm waiting on payment from a big client." More lies, more recording evidence. "Bianca, can I ask you something?" "Of course." "Do you ever think about Portland? About the people there?" She shrugged. "Sometimes. But honestly, that life feels like a million years ago. I was so stuck there, so broke, so small. Miami changed everything. I'm finally the person I was always meant to be." The person she was meant to be, built on my stolen identity. "Do you miss anyone from home?" "My mom, I guess. But she visits. And you're here now." She squeezed my hand. "I've missed you, Rach. You're like the only person from Portland I actually care about keeping in touch with." The person she cared about. The person she'd robbed blind. "I've missed you too," I lied, the words tasting like ash. The next day, Bianca had to meet with a client, meaning she needed a few hours to maintain whatever lie she was currently performing. I stayed at the apartment, supposedly to relax by the pool. Instead, I did something I'd been planning since I arrived. I logged into my laptop and accessed the security cameras in the building. Not hacking, I'd noticed the building used a common property management software with known security flaws. As a former cybersecurity professional, I knew how to view the footage without technically breaking any laws. I was gathering evidence of Bianca living in the apartment leased fraudulently in my name. I found weeks of footage, Bianca coming and going, Marcus staying over, package deliveries from my Amazon account, all time-stamped, all documented proof of her fraud. I downloaded it all to an encrypted drive. Then I did something else. I accessed the building's resident portal using the credentials from the lease, my name, my information, found copies of all the documentation, the application with my forged signature, the income verification showing a salary I didn't make at a job I didn't have, the credit check run against my social security number. I documented everything, every lie, every forgery, every piece of fraud. My phone rang. It was my bank in Portland. "Miss Torres, we found another unauthorized charge. Someone just tried to withdraw $5,000 in cash from your account." "Where?" "Miami, about an hour ago." I checked my tracking app. Bianca's location an hour ago was exactly where the bank said the withdrawal attempt was made. She wasn't done stealing from me. Even with me here, in her apartment, she was still actively draining what little I had left. The rage I had been controlling for days finally broke through. I called Bianca. "Hey, what's up?" She sounded cheerful, casual. "Where are you?"
Still with my client? Why? Which client? The hotel chain, the one I told you about. Bianca, what's the name of the hotel chain? Why are you asking me this? Just curious about your work. They're confidential right now. NDA stuff, why? No reason, just wondered. I'll see you when you get home. I hung up and pulled up her Instagram. She'd posted a story 15 minutes ago, a photo of her lunch, geotagged at a restaurant downtown. Not a client meeting, just lunch. More lies. I had enough, more than enough. I had her on recording lying about her business, about her life, about everything. I had security footage proving she lived in the fraudulently leased apartment. I had documented proof of every theft, every lie, every crime. But I needed one more thing. I needed her to admit it, to my face, on camera. When she got home that evening, I was sitting on the couch with my laptop and a folder full of printed evidence. "Hey, sorry that took so long. Client was being super demanding. But I closed the deal." She dropped her purse and headed to the kitchen. "Want some wine? Let's celebrate." "Bianca, we need to talk." Something in my voice made her stop, turn around, really look at me. "What's wrong?" I opened the folder and pulled out the first page, a bank statement showing the unauthorized withdrawals. "When were you going to tell me?" Her face went pale. "Tell you what?" "That you stole my identity, drained my accounts, destroyed my credit, that everything you have, this apartment, that car, all of it, is paid for with my money." For a long moment, she just stood there. I watched the calculations happening behind her eyes, weighing her options, considering which lie might still work. Then she laughed. "Oh my God, Rach, is that what this is about? You think She laughed again, but it sounded forced. "That's insane. Why would I steal from you?" "I don't know, Bianca. Why would you?" "I wouldn't. I can't believe you'd even think..." I pulled out more papers. "Here's the apartment lease in my name with my social security number, but your contact information. Here's the Amazon order history, thousands of dollars of purchases all shipped here. Here are the credit card applications, all from a Miami IP address traced to this building." Her face changed. The performance cracked. "You hacked me?" "I didn't have to. You were sloppy. You left a trail so obvious a child could follow it. And I have you on tape, lying to me, lying to Marcus, lying to everyone, admitting you were broke 6 months ago, talking about how the universe rewarded you." "You recorded me?" Her voice rose. "That's illegal. Actually, in Florida, only one party needs to consent. I consented. Everything you've said to me since I got here is legally admissible evidence." She stared at me, and for the first time, I saw real fear in her eyes. "Rachel, please, let me explain." "Explain what?" "Explain how you used the password manager I gave you to steal my passwords, how you researched identity theft using my own email, how you've been systematically destroying my life for months while posting about your blessings on Instagram." I was desperate, the words burst out of her. "You don't understand. I was going to lose everything. I couldn't make rent. I had debt collectors calling. I was about to have to move back to Portland and live with my mom like a failure." "So you destroyed me instead?" "I was going to pay you back. I just needed time to get on my feet and then I'd return everything. You tried to withdraw $5,000 today while I was here, while I was staying in your guest room. You're still stealing from me, Bianca." She sank onto the couch, her carefully constructed life visibly crumbling. "What are you going to do?" I looked at my cousin, this person I'd loved like a sister, and felt nothing but cold anger. "I'm going to give you one choice, one chance to make this right before I turn everything over to the police. Anything. I'll do anything. Tomorrow, you're going to confess to everything on camera, and then you're going to start paying back every single penny you stole. I don't have that kind of money." "Then you'll get it.
sell the car, break the lease, get a real job. I don't care how, but you're going to pay it back, or I'm going to make sure you spend the next several years in prison for identity theft, fraud, and theft. Do you understand?" She nodded, tears streaming down her face. But I wondered if they were real or just another performance, because I'd learned the hard way. I couldn't trust anything about Bianca anymore.
Bianca cried for an hour, mascara running down her face, hands shaking, the whole performance. I watched it with the detachment of someone who'd finally seen through the act. "I'm so sorry, Rach. I'm so sorry. I was just so desperate, and I thought I could fix it before you ever found out. I thought I could make enough money to pay you back and you'd never have to know." "But you didn't make money. You just kept stealing." I know, and I hate myself for it. But I swear, I'm going to make this right. I'll do whatever you want. The confession, paying you back, all of it. Tomorrow morning, 9 a.m., I want a full confession on camera. Every detail of what you did, how you did it, when you did it. "Okay, yes, whatever you need." She went to bed claiming exhaustion and emotional devastation. I stayed up, reviewing my evidence, making sure everything was documented and backed up in multiple locations. Around midnight, my phone buzzed with a notification. Someone had tried to access my email from a Miami IP address, from inside this building. I checked the security cameras I'd accessed earlier. There was Bianca, not in bed, but in her home office, sitting at her computer. I pulled up the monitoring software I'd quietly installed on the apartment's network, not hacking, just using the building's guest Wi-Fi that I had legitimate access to as a resident guest. I could see what devices were connected and what sites they were accessing. Bianca was on a crime forum, searching for how to discredit identity theft victim and false accusations of fraud, and how to prove someone is lying about identity theft. She wasn't planning to confess. She was planning to fight me. I screenshotted everything, watched as she searched for lawyers who specialized in defending against fraud accusations, watched her draft an email to someone. I couldn't see the content, but I could see that it was going to an attorney. Then she did something that made my blood run cold. She accessed a file sharing site and started uploading documents. I managed to see the file names before they disappeared into the encrypted transfer. Rachel_mentalhealth.docs and Rachel_druguseevidence.pdf and Rachel_unreliabletestimony.docs. She was creating fake evidence to discredit me. Documents suggesting I was mentally unstable, had substance abuse problems, was an unreliable witness. She was going to claim I was making everything up, probably as some kind of delusional episode or vendetta. I watched her work for 2 hours, watched her fabricate an entire narrative where she was the victim and I was the unstable cousin making false accusations. She even created fake screenshots of conversations we'd supposedly had, where I'd asked to borrow money and she'd loaned it to me, conversations that never happened. She was thorough, I'd give her that. Years of lying had made her good at it. Around 2 a.m., she finally went to bed. I sat in the guest room, shaking with rage and something else. Grief, maybe? The final death of any illusion that the person I'd loved still existed. The next morning, Bianca emerged from her bedroom with red eyes and a somber expression. The performance continued. I've been up all night thinking about this, about what I did to you. And Rachel, I need to tell you something. What? I'm not the only one. I went still. What do you mean? There are other people I did this to. Not as bad as you, but I borrowed money using fake identities, created fake references for jobs. I've been doing it for years and I don't know how to stop. This was new, a confession I hadn't expected. Who else?
My ex-boyfriend, Tyler, I opened a credit card in his name when we were together. Just a small one, only $5,000 limit, but she wiped her eyes. And my former roommate in Portland, Jess, I used her information to get approved for this apartment initially before I switched it to yours, Bianca. And there's this girl in Miami I met at a networking event, Amanda. I've been pretending to be her on some freelance sites, taking jobs and keeping the money. She doesn't even know. I stared at her. How many people have you stolen from? I don't know. Maybe 10 over the past 5 years. She looked at me with those wide, tear-filled eyes. I'm sick, Rachel. I think I have a problem, like an addiction. I see an opportunity and I can't help myself. It was a good strategy, I realized. Admit to being sick, to having a compulsion she couldn't control, make it a mental health issue instead of a moral one, generate sympathy, maybe get me to suggest treatment instead of prosecution. But I'd seen her computer searches last night. I knew this was another manipulation. I think you should confess to them too. Make amends with everyone you've hurt. I want to. I really do. But Rachel, I'm scared. What if they all press charges? What if I go to prison? Then you'll face the consequences of what you did. But what if, she leaned forward, what if we handled this differently? What if instead of getting police and lawyers involved, I paid everyone back, started a payment plan, committed to therapy, really changed? You tried to withdraw $5,000 from my account yesterday while I was here. She faced flickered with something, annoyance maybe, that I'd caught that. That was automatic. I'd set up a transfer before you told me you were coming and I forgot to cancel it. No, you lying. There was nothing automatic about it. You went to a bank and tried to make a cash withdrawal. No, I pulled out my phone and showed her the bank notification. Time, location, amount. You were at this branch at this exact time. I have your Instagram story showing you near that location. Don't lie to me anymore.
Fine. You want the truth? Here's the truth. You were easy to steal from, Rachel. You trusted me completely. You gave me access to everything I needed. You practically handed me your identity on a silver platter. So this is my fault? I'm just saying you made it easy. And honestly, you weren't even using that money. It was just sitting there in your accounts doing nothing while you lived in that sad little apartment working freelance jobs that barely paid. I put it to use. I built something with it. You built lies. I built a life I deserve. I'm smart, I'm beautiful, I'm capable. I should be living like this. You got all the opportunities growing up. You got to go to college, got the good job, got to do whatever you wanted. I had to scrape by while everyone compared me to you. Perfect Rachel, so responsible, so smart. So you destroyed me out of jealousy? I destroyed you? She laughed. Rachel, you're fine. You'll recover. You have skills. You'll rebuild your credit. You'll be okay. But me? If you turn me in, I lose everything. The apartment, Marcus, my entire life here. Is that really what you want? I want you to face consequences for what you did. Consequences? Her voice rose. Want to talk about consequences? What about the consequences of you being so uptight and boring that I felt suffocated my entire childhood? What about the consequences of you always being the favorite, the good one, while I was treated like the screw-up? That's not... Yes, it is. You have no idea what it's like being compared to you constantly. Why can't you be more like Rachel? Why can't you focus like Rachel? Why can't you make good choices like Rachel? She was pacing now, agitated. I spent my entire life in your shadow. So yeah, I took some money. So what? You owe me that much for making me feel like shit for 32 years. I watched this transformation with something like awe. The mask had completely dropped. This was who she really was. Resentful, entitled, completely devoid of genuine remorse. You really think you deserve my money because I made you feel bad about yourself? I think I deserve a good life just as much as you do. And if you had to lose some money to give me that chance, then yeah, that's fair.
That's not how fairness works. Says you. You've always gotten to define what's fair because you're the good one. Well, guess what, Rachel? I'm done playing by your rules. I'm done being the screw-up cousin who needs your help and your pity. So what's your plan? Just keep stealing, keep lying? My plan is to live my life, and if you try to stop me, I'll make sure everyone knows you're lying. I have evidence. The fake mental health records you created last night? Her face went white. How did you? I saw you. On your computer, creating fake mental health records, fabricating evidence of drug use. Did you really think I wouldn't be monitoring the network? You hacked my computer. I monitored the guest network I have legitimate access to. Everything you did was visible because you were sloppy, just like the identity theft. She stared at me and I could see her recalculating, trying to figure out how to spin this. Okay, she said finally. Okay, here's what's gonna happen. You're gonna leave Miami, go back to Portland, and forget this happened. Because if you don't, I'll tell everyone you gave me permission to use your information, that we had an agreement. You'd help me get started in Miami, and I'd pay you back when I could. Who do you think they'll believe? You with your supposed evidence? Or me, with our history of you always helping me, always bailing me out? You're gonna claim I gave you permission? I'll say we had a verbal agreement, that you felt bad for me and wanted to help. I'll show them all the times you've given me money before, helped me out of jams. I'll make it look like this was just an extension of that, a loan that went bad. That's fraud on top of fraud. That's my word against yours. And Rachel, she smiled and it was ugly. I'm much better liar than you are. My phone rang. I glanced at it. Detective Morrison from the Portland Police Department. I need to take this. Don't, I answered. Hello? This is Detective Morrison. We've been investigating your identity theft case, and we have some news. We've identified a suspect and are preparing to make an arrest. We'll need you to come in and confirm some information, but we believe we have enough to prosecute. Who's the suspect? I can't release that information over the phone, but I can tell you it's someone close to you, someone who had access to your personal information. I looked at Bianca, who was watching me with growing panic. When do you need me? As soon as possible. Can you come to the station today? I'm actually in Miami right now, following up on some leads. Miami? That's interesting. That's where most of the fraudulent activity originated. Miss Torres, are you somewhere safe? I'm fine. I'll fly back tomorrow and come straight to the station. After I hung up, Bianca was pale and shaking. They know? She whispered. How do they know? I filed a police report the day I found out, gave them all the evidence I had. They've been investigating while I came here. But I thought if you came here, if we talked, you weren't going to. You thought I'd let you manipulate me one more time, that our history meant I'd let you destroy my life without consequences. I stood up. But here's what you don't understand, Bianca. I didn't come here to give you a chance. I came here to get your confession on record and to see if there was any part of the person I loved left in you. Rachel, please.
There isn't. You're gone. Or maybe you were never who I thought you were. Either way, the Bianca I loved doesn't exist. You're just a criminal who's been stealing from people for years, and I'm done protecting you. I'll tell them you gave me permission. I'll ruin you. Go ahead. Try. I have recordings of you admitting you stole from me, admitting you stole from others. I have documentation of you creating fake evidence last night. I have security footage, IP addresses, financial records, witnesses. I have everything, Bianca. Your lies can't stand up to that much truth. She lunged for my phone, trying to grab it. I stepped back, holding it away from her. Don't make this worse. You're already facing identity theft charges. Add assault, and it gets worse. She stopped, breathing hard. Then she did something I didn't expect. She started laughing. You think you've won. You think you're so smart. But Rachel, you have no idea what you've done. What's that supposed to mean? Marcus, my boyfriend, he's a lawyer, a really good lawyer who specializes in white-collar crime defense. And he thinks I'm this innocent entrepreneur who would never hurt anyone. When I tell him my crazy cousin is making up stories about me, who do you think he'll believe? The evidence doesn't care who he believes. But juries do.
And Marcus knows how to work a jury. He'll make you look paranoid, vindictive, jealous of my success. He'll bring up every time you ever helped me and make it look like I'm just the latest victim of your controlling behavior. She was threatening me. Actually threatening to use her lawyer boyfriend to destroy me in court. Do your worst, Bianca. I'll take my chances with the truth. I grabbed my bag and headed for the door. Where are you going? Somewhere you can't lie to me anymore. I'll see you in court. I left the apartment and went straight to the airport. Changed my flight to leave immediately. I needed to get back to Portland, to the police, to safety. Because I'd realized something in that conversation. Bianca wasn't just a thief. She was dangerous. She'd spent years perfecting the art of lying, of manipulating, of making herself the victim. And she wasn't going to go down without a fight. But neither was I. On the plane home, I got an email from an address I didn't recognize. The subject line, "You're making a mistake." I opened it. "Rachel, this is Marcus Chen, Bianca's attorney and boyfriend. She's told me about your accusations, and I want you to know that we will be pursuing legal action against you for defamation, harassment, and emotional distress. Any further contact with my client will be considered stalking. Furthermore, I've advised Bianca to file a restraining order. If you proceed with these false accusations, I will personally ensure you face consequences. Bianca is the victim here, and I will prove it." Attached was a document, a cease and desist letter, professionally formatted, legally threatening. I forwarded it to Detective Morrison with a note, "The suspect's boyfriend is a lawyer and is threatening me. Thought you should know." His response came within minutes. "Do not respond to any communication from them. We'll handle this. Come to the station as soon as you land." I spent the rest of the flight reviewing everything I had, every screenshot, every recording, every piece of evidence, making sure it was all backed up, all documented, all ready to hand over. Bianca had underestimated me, thought I'd back down when threatened, when things got hard, thought our history meant I'd always protect her, always give her another chance. But she destroyed the person who would have done that. The Rachel who trusted her, who loved her, who saw the best in her, that Rachel was gone, killed by betrayal and theft. The Rachel who remained was someone she'd never met, someone who wouldn't stop until every lie was exposed and every consequence delivered. She wasn't her victim anymore. She was her reckoning. Detective Morrison met me at the Portland police station 3 hours after I landed. He was in his 50s, with the weathered look of someone who'd seen every kind of crime and wasn't surprised by human nature anymore. "Miss Torres, thank you for coming in so quickly. I've reviewed all the evidence you submitted, and I have to say, this is one of the most well-documented identity theft cases I've ever seen." I set down my encrypted drive. "I have more. Recordings from my trip to Miami, security footage, and evidence that she's creating fake evidence last night." He took the drive. "Walk me through what happened in Miami." I did. Every conversation, every lie, Bianca's admission about stealing from others, her threat to claim I'd given her permission, the fake documents she had created. I played him the recordings where she admitted to being desperate and needing to borrow my identity. And this boyfriend of hers, Marcus Chen, he sent me a cease and desist. I saw that. Did some research on him this morning. He's a defense attorney, specializes in white-collar crime defense. Good reputation, wins most of his cases. My stomach dropped. So she has a good lawyer. She has a lawyer who doesn't know he's been lied to. That's different. He leaned back in his chair. "Miss Torres, here's what's going to happen. We're going to arrest your cousin. Based on this evidence, the DA is confident we can get indictments for identity theft, wire fraud, credit card fraud, and forgery. We're talking multiple felonies." "When?" "We've already coordinated with Miami PD. They're executing an arrest warrant this afternoon."
Your cousin is going to fight this. Her lawyer is going to try every trick in the book. They'll attack your credibility, claim you gave permission, argue that this was a family loan that went bad. It's going to get ugly. I'm prepared. And you understand that even with a conviction, you may never recover all the money she stole. Most of it's been spent. The assets can be seized and sold, but it won't add up to $60,000. $60,000. That's what the final tally had been. My entire life savings, plus credit card debt, plus the fraudulent loans. I understand this isn't about the money anymore. It's about making sure she faces consequences. He nodded. Then we'll proceed. I'll need you to stay available for questions, and you'll likely be called to testify when this goes to trial. I'll be here. The call came 6 hours later. Bianca had been arrested at her apartment. Marcus had been there when the police arrived. According to the Miami detective I spoke with, he'd been shocked and resistant, threatening to sue everyone involved. He'll calm down when he sees the evidence, the detective said. They always do. The next few days were a blur of lawyers and paperwork and media attention. Someone, probably Bianca, had leaked the story to a local news outlet, and suddenly, cousin accused of elaborate identity theft scheme was making headlines. My phone rang constantly. Reporters wanting comments, family members demanding to know what was happening. Bianca's mother, my Aunt Teresa, called me crying. "Rachel, please tell me this is a misunderstanding. Tell me you're not really sending Bianca to prison." Aunt Teresa, she stole my entire life savings. She destroyed my credit. She committed multiple felonies. But she's family. Can't you work this out privately? Does it have to involve the police? She stole from other people too. This isn't just about me anymore. She made a mistake. She's not a criminal. She's always struggled. You know that. She needs help, not prison. I tried to help her for years, and she used that help to rob me blind. My aunt hung up crying. Within an hour, I got texts from various family members, some supporting me, others calling me vindictive. My uncle said I was tearing the family apart. My grandmother said I should have handled this within the family. Only my mother stood firmly on my side. "What Bianca did is unforgivable," she told me. "Teresa's my sister and I love her, but this isn't about family loyalty. This is about right and wrong." Tyler, Jess, and Amanda all came forward after seeing the news. Tyler had discovered fraudulent charges months ago, but never connected them to Bianca. Jess had been confused about credit inquiries in her name, but assumed it was a mistake. Amanda had no idea Bianca was taking freelance jobs using her identity until the police contacted her. They all filed reports. The charges against Bianca multiplied. 3 weeks after her arrest, I got a call from an unknown Miami number. Against my better judgment, I answered. "Rachel, it's Marcus Chen." I almost hung up. "You sent me a cease and desist. I'm not supposed to talk to you." "I'm not calling as Bianca's attorney. I'm calling as someone who needs to understand what the hell happened." "What do you mean?" "I've seen the evidence. All of it. The DA showed it to me during discovery." His voice was strained. "I've been dating Bianca for 4 months. Thought I knew her. Thought I was falling in love with her. And everything was a lie." "I'm sorry."
I'm a lawyer. I'm supposed to be good at reading people. And she completely fooled me. He laughed bitterly. She told me about her cousin who was mentally unstable, who was stalking her, showed me fake screenshots of you threatening her. I believed every word. She's very convincing. I told her I'd defend her, promised to use every resource I had to protect her from these false accusations. Do you know what she said? "What? I knew you would. You're so easy to manipulate." His voice cracked. She said it to her cellmate. Didn't know I was in the building, that I'd hear it. She was laughing about how she'd hooked another sucker and would walk free because men are idiots. I closed my eyes. Even now, even caught, Bianca was performing, playing angles. "I'm withdrawing as her attorney," Marcus continued. "And Rachel, I'm sorry. For the cease and desist, for believing her, for everything. She's gotten a lot of people. You're just the one brave enough to hold her accountable."
After we hung up, I felt empty. Not vindicated, just sad. The preliminary hearing was scheduled for 2 months out. In the meantime, I had to rebuild my life. I worked with the bank to reverse the fraudulent charges. It was a slow process, proving each transaction was unauthorized, filling out forms, waiting for investigations. Some charges were reversed immediately, others took weeks. I worked with a credit repair service to fix my credit report, disputed the fraudulent accounts, provided police reports, slowly watched my score climb back up from the depths. I picked up freelance work again, told clients I'd had a family emergency, which wasn't entirely untrue. Most were understanding. Some had moved on to other designers. I didn't blame them. I started therapy. Turned out being betrayed by someone you loved like a sister left scars that needed professional help to heal. It's not just about the money, I told my therapist, Dr. Kim, during one session. It's about losing someone I thought I knew, realizing our entire relationship was probably fake, that she never actually cared about me. Do you think that's true? That she never cared? I don't know. Maybe when we were kids it was real, but somewhere along the way I became a resource instead of a person to her, a means to an end. That must feel incredibly painful. It did. More painful than the financial loss, than the stress of rebuilding my credit. Losing Bianca, or rather, losing the illusion of who I thought she was, hurt in a way I hadn't anticipated. 6 weeks after the arrest, the other victims and I met with the DA. Tyler, Jess, Amanda, and me. 4 people Bianca had stolen from without hesitation. We have a strong case, the DA told us. Multiple felony counts, clear evidence, a pattern of behavior. I'm confident we can get a conviction. What kind of sentence are we looking at? Tyler asked. Identity theft carries up to 15 years in Oregon. Wire fraud is another 20. We're looking at multiple counts. Realistically, with a plea deal, she'd serve maybe 5 to 7 years. 5 to 7 years. Bianca would be almost 40 when she got out. Her entire life derailed by her own choices. I should have felt satisfaction. Instead, I just felt tired. There's been a development, the DA continued. Miss Morrison's new attorney has approached us about a plea deal. What kind of deal? I asked. Full confession, guilty plea on all counts, agreement to pay restitution. In exchange, we recommend 8 years with possibility of parole after 5. And if we don't accept the deal, we go to trial, which we'd likely win, but trials are unpredictable, and it would take another year, maybe 2, before everything is resolved. We looked at each other, the 4 people Bianca had stolen from. I want this over, Jess said quietly. I want to move on with my life.
Tyler nodded. Same. If she confesses, admits what she did, that's enough for me. Amanda agreed. They all looked at me. Rachel, the DA asked, this is ultimately your call. You're the primary victim. I thought about Bianca, about who she'd been and who she'd become, about the years I'd spent loving someone who didn't actually exist. I want the confession on record, I said. I want her to admit publicly what she did to all of us. And I want her banned from contact with any of us for life. We can make that part of the deal. Then yes, I'll accept the plea. The plea hearing was 3 weeks later. I sat in the courtroom with the other victims, watching Bianca walk in wearing an orange jumpsuit, her hands cuffed. She looked smaller somehow, diminished. Her hair had lost its shine, her skin was pale. The confidence that had always surrounded her was gone. She stood before the judge and entered her guilty plea, admitted to identity theft, wire fraud, credit card fraud, forgery, admitted to stealing from me, from Tyler, from Jess, from Amanda. Her voice was barely audible. The judge asked if she had anything to say. Bianca turned to look at us, at me specifically. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for what I did, for the pain I caused, for betraying people who trusted me. She paused. I don't expect forgiveness. I just want you to know that I understand what I did was wrong, and I'm going to spend the rest of my life trying to be better than the person who hurt you. It sounded rehearsed. Probably was. But there was something in her eyes. Genuine fear, maybe, or regret. Some small piece of the person I'd known. Or maybe I was seeing what I wanted to see. I'd never really know. The judge sentenced her to 8 years in federal prison, with restitution to be paid from any assets and future earnings. The apartment lease was broken, the car repossessed, her possessions sold. The money raised, about $20,000, was split among the 4 victims. It wasn't enough. Wouldn't even come close to covering what she'd stolen. But it was something. After the hearing, Tyler approached me. "Thank you for putting all this together, for having the courage to press charges. I never would have known what happened if you hadn't. We all deserve justice." "Yeah, but you're the one who made sure we got it." As I left the courthouse, I saw Aunt Teresa waiting outside. She looked like she'd aged 10 years. "Rachel, Aunt Teresa, I know you probably don't want to talk to me, but I needed to say, I'm sorry for not believing you, for thinking you were being vindictive, for not seeing what Bianca had become. It's hard to see the worst in people we love. She's my daughter. I'll always love her, but what she did, there's no excuse for that. You did the right thing, holding her accountable. I just wish I'd seen it sooner." We stood in uncomfortable silence for a moment. "Will you..." She hesitated. "Will you come to family Christmas? I know it's awkward, but you're still family. You'll always be family. I need some time, Aunt Teresa, from all of it. But maybe eventually." She nodded and walked away, looking smaller and older than I'd ever seen her. I went home to my apartment, still modest, still affordable, but mine. Sat in the quiet and felt the weight of the past 3 months finally settle. It was over. Bianca was in prison. The legal case was closed. I was rebuilding my finances and my credit. Life was slowly returning to normal. But something had changed, fundamentally. I'd learned that the people closest to you could hurt you in ways strangers never could. That trust, once broken, might never fully heal. That family didn't always mean safety. It was a hard lesson, an expensive one, but I'd survived it. And maybe that was enough.
It's been 3 years since I stood in that Target with declined credit cards on my birthday. 3 years since I discovered that my cousin had stolen my identity and dismantled my life. 3 years since I learned that the people you love most can sometimes hurt you worst. My credit score is back to where it was before Bianca destroyed it. Actually, it's higher now. Rebuilding taught me better financial habits than I'd had before. I'm more careful, more vigilant, more aware of how easily identity can be stolen if you're not protecting it. The money is mostly recovered, not all of it. I'll probably never see the full amount Bianca stole. But between the asset seizure, the restitution payments from her prison work program, and the lawsuit I won against her, I've gotten back about $40,000 of the $60,000 she took. The rest I've written off as the cost of a painful education. My freelance design business is thriving. Turns out almost losing everything makes you hungrier, more focused. I've doubled my client list, raised my rates, and actually enjoy the work now in a way I didn't before. There's something clarifying about nearly losing your career. It helps you appreciate it when you rebuild it. I bought a new couch last month, not because I needed one, but because I could. Because I could afford it with my own money, earned through my own work without anyone stealing it. Such a small thing, but it felt like victory. I still see Dr. Kim, my therapist, though less frequently now, once a month instead of once a week.
We talk about trust issues, about boundaries, about how to let people in without making myself vulnerable to being destroyed again. "You've come a long way," she told me in our last session. "When you first came here, you couldn't talk about Bianca without crying. Now you can say her name without flinching." She's right. Bianca is just a fact of my history now, not an open wound. The cousin I loved is gone. Maybe she never existed. Maybe she changed. Maybe I just never saw her clearly. It doesn't matter anymore. I've made peace with the loss. Bianca is 3 years into her 8-year sentence. I heard through family that she's been a model prisoner, taking classes, working in the prison library, supposedly finding herself. Aunt Teresa visits her every month, writes letters about how Bianca's changed, how prison has made her reflect on her choices. Maybe it's true. Maybe she really has changed, but I'll never know for certain because I've chosen not to find out. The no contact order is in place until 2028, and even after it expires, I won't be reaching out. Some bridges, once burned, shouldn't be rebuilt. The family fractures have mostly healed, though there are still awkward moments. I went to Christmas dinner last year, the first family gathering since Bianca's arrest. Some relatives avoided mentioning her name, others wanted to talk about nothing else. A few still think I was too harsh, that I should have handled it within the family. I've learned to smile and change the subject. Their opinions don't change what happened or what I had to do. Tyler, Jess, and Amanda and I formed an odd little support group. We meet for coffee every few months, 4 people connected by shared victimhood and the strange experience of being betrayed by someone who was supposed to care about us. Tyler was Bianca's ex-boyfriend. Jess was her roommate and friend. Amanda thought they were networking contacts. All of us learned that Bianca saw people as resources, not relationships. Do you ever wonder if we miss signs? Like, were there red flags we should have seen? Jess asked at our last coffee meetup. Probably, but also we trusted someone we had reason to trust. That's not a character flaw, that's being human. Still feels stupid. Being fooled by a good liar doesn't make you stupid. It makes them a good liar. It's a lesson I've had to repeat to myself countless times. I wasn't stupid for trusting Bianca. I wasn't naive for helping her. I was being a good person, and she exploited that. Her choices reflect on her character, not mine. I've also learned to be more careful about who I trust and how much access I give people. I use different passwords for everything now. 2-factor authentication on every account. Regular credit monitoring. I don't share financial information with anyone, no matter how close we are. Some might call it paranoid. I call it learned wisdom. Last week, I got a letter forwarded from the DA's office from Bianca. The return address showed she'd moved to a minimum security facility, a sign of good behavior.
I stared at the envelope for a long time. Part of me wanted to read it to see if she'd offer a real apology or explanation. The other part knew it didn't matter. Nothing she could say would change what happened. I threw it away, unopened. Dr. Kim asked me how that felt. Powerful, I said. Like I get to decide what I let into my life now. She doesn't get access to me anymore, not even through a letter. That's significant growth. It is. 3 years ago, I would have read that letter, probably cried over it, maybe even written back, would have hoped for closure or understanding, or some magic words that would make the betrayal hurt less. Now I understand that closure doesn't come from other people, it comes from yourself, from deciding that someone else's actions don't get to define your worth or your future. I'm 35 now, single, financially stable, emotionally healthier than I've been in years. I have good friends, work I enjoy, a life I've built intentionally. It's not the life I had before Bianca destroyed everything, but in some ways it's better. Because I built this one knowing what I know now. About people, about trust, about protecting myself while still remaining open to connection. I date sometimes, carefully, slowly.
I tell potential partners about what happened, not immediately, but eventually. Some people are scared off by the story. Others understand that surviving betrayal makes you stronger, not weaker. The right person will understand that. I think about what I'd tell my 32-year-old self, standing in that Target with declined cards, if I could go back. I'd tell her that she's about to go through something devastating, but she'll survive it. That she's stronger than she knows. That the cousin she loves is already gone, and holding on to the illusion will only hurt more. I'd tell her that it's okay to trust people, but it's also okay to verify. That loving someone doesn't mean giving them access to destroy you. That boundaries aren't walls, they're bridges with gates that you control. Most importantly, I tell her that betrayal says everything about the betrayer and nothing about her worthiness of love. It took me 3 years to fully believe that, but I do now. The sun is setting outside my apartment window, the same window where I sat 3 years ago, discovering the full extent of Bianca's theft. Same view, different person looking through it. I'm not the same Rachel who trusted blindly and gave without limits. But I'm not bitter or closed off either. I'm just wiser, more careful, more aware that love and trust are gifts that should be given thoughtfully, not carelessly. My phone buzzes. A text from a new client excited about the logo designs I sent over. Another buzz. Tyler suggesting we all meet for dinner next week. Another, my mom sending a photo of her garden with the caption, "Thinking of you, sweetheart." Small moments, normal life, the kind of ordinary that feels precious when you've nearly lost everything. I'm rebuilding still. Maybe I always will be, but I'm rebuilding on my own terms with my own resources, protected by boundaries I've learned to set and maintain. Bianca took my money, my credit, my sense of safety, but she couldn't take my resilience, my intelligence, my ability to rebuild. And in the end, that's what mattered most. I survived. I'm still standing, and I'm stronger for the breaking. That's not the ending I would have chosen, but it's the one I've made peace with. And sometimes peace is better than perfect.